Okay, guys, we're gonna roll. Sorry about the delay. I hope everyone's in who needs to be in. We will have it recorded. So thank you for joining us this evening. It's great to see all of your familiar faces and some new faces, familiar ones from that tour of Newfoundland in September of 2018, almost 2 years ago now. A few things before we get going. You can manipulate your screen by hovering your mouse over the top right so you can see the slides larger and then you can see me in the corner in a smaller frame. So that's your choice. Just hover your mouse. Please turn off your microphones. So put them on mute. You'll see those icons at the bottom left of your screen. I think some of you have your microphones on and we're hearing some feedback. So if you can take a moment and do that. It might help you if you turn your camera off. You'll get better Wi-Fi probably and better results. And we can turn them back on later on when we have some chat time. And use the chat box to comment and ask questions. And I'm going to ask you to put some stuff in the chat box as we go, so there'll be a little bit of participation. And if you haven't got it up yet, if you click on it on the bar that should be at the bottom of your screen, you can see the chat box, and then you can move it around on your screen to the best spot. So remember that everyone can see what you type, though, right? Unless you are very specific about who you want to talk to. I will try to monitor the chat as we go through the presentation. I do have technical support here. Younger offspring is filling that role this evening, so thanks to Chris. And if you have technical problems, please type into the chat and we will try to help you or check with Tony and see what he can do. So we want to be interactive, so I will ask you occasionally, like I said, to put comments in the chat box, so pay attention. Okay, so thanks to Tony Rose, who is our NFPA advisory group representative, for partnering with NFPA to do this webinar today. I have met lots of you. I'm Laura King. I'm the NFPA Public Education Representative for Canada. Sadly, we're not doing much touring this season, so we're doing it this way and it's working well, and I appreciate all of you joining us this evening. So if you have this, we're going to focus on Fire Prevention Week and some other stuff this evening. And if you have been under a rock for the last little while and don't know yet, our 2020 Fire Prevention Week theme is Serve Up Fire Safety in the Kitchen, in English and of course in French, en français. So we have had great response from educators all over North America, which is evident in our launch video, which if you haven't had the opportunity to see that, I'm going to show it to you momentarily. And while the video is playing, if you can take a second and tell me in the chat what you think of the theme and how relevant it is in your community. So just gonna fix the audio here and show you the video. You have to listen a little bit hard. The audio is not quite as loud as I am. It's
finally June 1st. Let's launch this Fire Prevention Week 2020 from our kitchen to yours. Fire departments everywhere are getting ready to serve up fire safety in the kitchen for Fire Prevention Week this year.
This year's theme works to educate everyone about the simple but important actions that they can take to keep them and everyone around them safe in the kitchen.
Why cooking safety? Unattended cooking is the #1 cause of kitchen fires and fire injuries.
Here at NFPA, we know that Fire Prevention Week might look a little different this year. We might not have open houses, school or community events, but we've got lots of new and different ways to get the message out.
NFPA is ready to serve up fire safety in the kitchen. Are you? NFPA está lista para servir seguridad con incendios en la cocina. ¿Y usted?
Ready for Fire Prevention Week in Texas. We are grilling some safety because you know we love our barbecue.
In Canada, we are asking everyone nicely to serve up fire safety in the kitchen. Au Canada, nous demandons à tout le monde de bien servir la sécurité incendie dans la cuisine.
Indiana, all wrapped up to get the word out about kitchen safety. We've got a lot cooking in Georgia for Fire Prevention Week. The South is frying safely. The Bowie and the West are ready to go.
We've got the recipe for safety in New England, especially while boiling our lobsters.
So no matter where you live, get ready for Fire Prevention Week at firepreventionweek.org. We've got this.
About to serve up fire safety in the kitchen. Get some lessons that can help with fire prevention. If you have some further questions, won't you listen? About to serve up fire safety in the kitchen.
So we are an international organization. So you saw people from all over North America, including Luke, who is our NFPA network representative for Department of National Defense, doing his thing in English and French. So thanks very much to Luke. So Christopher, can you have a look at the chat and see if people like the theme and what they've had to say? Christopher's my tech support.
A few comments in there. Yeah, people saying it's relevant to a couple of unfortunate experiences they've had in the past couple of weeks regarding some people they know personally, but everybody seems to be saying pretty positive things about it generally. Regarding COVID, understanding that people are staying home a lot more and cooking on their own a lot more, not going out as much. Everybody seems to think that it's a good topic overall.
Good, awesome, thanks. And thanks you guys for participating in all of that. So learning objectives today. Sorry guys, learning objectives today. You will, when we finish this session, be familiar with the 2020 Fire Prevention Week theme, which you are now. You will understand the NFPA research and data that supports the theme. You will develop some knowledge of Fire Prevention Week and community risk reduction, of course. You will be comfortable accessing the Fire Prevention Week website and our resources. You will know where to find the social media resources, which are fun and interesting and creative and target specific audiences. And you'll leave with some great ideas for non-traditional Fire Prevention Week activities. So why cooking safety? Why did NFPA choose this as the theme? Before I give you a bit of background, if you could go into the chat again and tell me if your data in your municipality or your region shows that cooking is indeed a leading cause of fire and fire injury. So just let me know if you have that information and if it is. So this theme was decided upon more than a year ago, so long before we were all staying home. And it's not because of COVID, but because NFPA research shows us that all over North America, cooking is the #1 cause of home fires and home fire injuries. It also shows us that unattended cooking is the top cause of fires in the kitchen. And I'm just seeing that Evan was liking the guy rapping. Yeah, we like him, Tony, that Tony should do a video just like that. I'd pay money to see that, Tony. Our research also shows us that half of all cup and tableware burns are to children under 5. So that means things around the table as you're sitting around the table. So a cup of coffee, a bowl of soup, that kind of thing. And that almost 40% of contact burns from grills or barbecues are children under 5. So all of that supports NFPA's messaging about a 1 meter kid-free zone around hot things. And we're going to show you some of the activities that you can use to provide that information to families, children, school children, that kind of thing. So here are some other interesting tidbits to help you customize your Fire Prevention Week messaging. So according to NFPA, people 55 and older had the highest risk for cooking fire deaths. And it's even higher for people as they get older. So it multiplies after you're 65 and 75 and 85, which you all probably know. But the highest risk of non-fatal home cooking fire injury, not death, but injury, is people 20 to 34. So much younger people who are busy and on the go and are distracted by their phones. And more than half of non-fatal injuries were people trying to trying to control the fires themselves. So what's also interesting is that cooking oil and grease fires are a major part of the cooking fire problem, so much so that NFPA researchers say that the frequency and increased risk of oil and grease fires indicates a need for more consumer awareness on how to deal with these fires. And that's our job as fire and life safety educators. And just back to the fact that people become injured or get injured trying to put the fires out themselves. I think that's a part of the message that we don't do a great job on, even at NFPA, and that we're missing and that we're going to start working on a little bit more. So a bit more data, 23% of cooking fires occur between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m., and that's probably not a surprise to you guys. And 40% of fire deaths during those hours occurred when people had fallen asleep. So again, part of the messaging that we're not, that we could perhaps do a better job on. So that's a ton of data, but it's really important to understand the data to frame the way you plan your Fire Prevention Week activities and to choose your audiences and determine what information to provide to those audiences. So some of you have heard me talk about community risk reduction and the 5 E's. So you can see them on the screen: engineering, emergency response, economic incentive, enforcement, and of course, education. And obviously, education is the one that is relevant to all of us here today. And also, obviously, when you are planning how you will use the NFPA Fire Prevention Week resources, we want you to use your data from your community risk assessments or your call volume or whatever it is that you keep to identify your risks and target your specific audiences, and then build your Fire Prevention Week plan or program to target those specific audiences. So we know that doing that will support and define your Fire Prevention Week efforts, that it will help you identify your target demographics, your target communities, your target neighborhoods, and the behaviors that you want to change. It can also help you evaluate your programs, which is critical for those of you who are in full-time departments. So ultimately, as you know, public education is about changing behavior, and that is the aim of our Fire Prevention Week messaging. The messages are really clear this year, and we'll review them as we navigate the website shortly. And you all know that the website is fpw.org or firepreventionweek.org. Both of those work. So our education team at NFPA has done a fabulous job making the messages really specific this year. They're targeted at really particular audiences. So teens, busy families, university students and young adults, and older adults. And they target specific behaviors such as being distracted by Instagram while you're waiting for your pot to boil. That never happens, right? So can you add in the chat who your specific audiences are in your communities, in your regions, and we'll have a look back at that in just a few minutes. Just making sure nobody's waiting to get in. Okay, so if we go to firepreventionweek.org, first up, you will see there are 4 tabs at the top right of the page. So Cook Safely, About, Toolkit, and Shop. And the Shop takes you to the US NFPA site, so we're going to ignore that, and I'll show you where to get your NFPA products and what's available. I'm betting that most of you have ordered them already, but if you haven't, there's still time. And actually, one of the vendors started a 15% off sale today, so that may help you access more product if you're interested in that at all. So if you, pardon me, losing the voice already. All right. Okay, so under that Cook Safely tab, there are resources for 2 groups of people. You guys, so fire departments, fire and life safety educators, and educators who may be teachers or daycare providers, that kind of thing, or group leaders, Cubs, Scouts, Girl Guides, and also for consumers, so people who might go looking online for information about safe cooking. So under Cook Safely, you will find tools, activities, safety information that your department can provide to consumers, whether it's handouts or online through social media, through webinars. There are all kinds of different varieties and ways to use them. So one of them is the Family Cooking Safety Checklist, which is a great tool, and it is available in English and French. And how can you use that checklist if you're unable to hand it out this year at an open house, for example? You could, pardon me, send it out to daycares or preschools or schools, teachers, communities and clubs, organizations, and post it all over social media. Or an idea that I like, do a short video of you or someone in your department showing the items and then ticking the boxes. Find a local celebrity, a sports figure, or your mayor. There might even be mayors. There might even be fire marshals or fire commissioners on the line this evening. That would be a good idea. Or your fire chief. Have them make a video completing the checklist or walk through the fire hall and show all the items in proper working order. So even though originally many of these resources, when we started talking about this, were meant to be provided in a one-to-one atmosphere, they're certainly adaptable to doing online or in a virtual setting. Okay, so still under Cook Safely on the Fire Prevention Week website, you will find this fantastic sheet that lists the key 2020 Fire Prevention Week messages and acts as a bit of a guide for you guys. So this is also in the Fire Prevention Week brochure that's in the kits, the Fire Prevention Week kits that you buy. And all the messaging is from NFPA's Educational Messaging Advisory Committee, of course, and that's our key messaging document. And I know that you all have it on your desks because you've seen and heard me talk about it so many times. So the 4 key messages for Fire Prevention Week are: stay focused on the food, put a lid on it, keep cooking areas clear, and prevent scalds and burns. And there's a lot more detail on the slide that you can see in front of you and in all of our resources. So now we'll look at a couple of resources to go with those messages. So still under Cook Safely on the Fire Prevention Week website, you'll find this fantastic sheet that lists the key, sorry, we've already said that. You think I was reading, sorry. There it is, the 1 meter kid-free zone. And I know it's in inches, but I didn't get to everybody in time to have them change it to a meter. But how can you use it? One suggestion, again, do a video of your crews cutting it out, measuring 1 meter from the stove, and then post it all over social media. There's the fire escape checklist, which you can promote on social as well, and get your mayor, or again, the fire chief or your school principal to talk about some of the items and post it to your town's social media. And of course, use the hashtag Fire Prevention Week. And then a fire safety checklist for caregivers or older adults, which is absolutely a great item to post on Facebook for that older adult audience. So it could, and we know that older adults are all over Facebook, right? And the kids aren't there anymore. It's people like us. It could also be recommended on Twitter for families to use to help parents or grandparents. And you can provide it to local home support agencies, for example. So that's ways to reach all kinds of different audiences. So still under Cooking Safely, bunch of videos for kids. And if there's teachers on the call at all, these are 3 that I recommend, that I like, that I think work, that aren't too hokey. So hot, not hot, or something hot. Walk away, stay and play, again with Sparky. You can see Sparky behind me. And Sparky's Aunt Dottie and her kitchen fire safety rules for kids. It's actually quite cute. They're short, they're sweet, and they have great messaging in them. And a new Cooking Safe video for families should be released and on this page any minute now. Actually, I think it's ready to go, and it should be posted shortly. So again, that's at fpw.org, and under, you hover your mouse and you go to Cook Safely, and you'll find all of these resources. So popping back to the home page, right? So back to firepreventionweek.org. And if you look at the second tab, About, it explains the origins of Fire Prevention Week and focuses on this year's theme. So what do you find there? Here you'll see the launch video that we showed at the beginning, plus 3 more videos that you can use to educate your audiences about Fire Prevention Week and cooking safety. So the first video tells the backstory to Fire Prevention Week. Interesting tidbit, since 1922, NFPA has sponsored the public observance of Fire Prevention Week. In 1925, it was proclaimed a national observance, but in Canada, Fire Prevention Week was actually adopted 2 years earlier in 1923, so we were ahead of the game. Fire Prevention Week is observed each year, as you know, during the week of October 9th in commemoration of the Great Chicago Fire, which began on October 8th. So the date will never change, and often Canadian Thanksgiving falls within that week, and that, you know, can either take away a day or give us an extra long weekend, whichever works in your region, but the date won't change. Lots of people have asked me that over the years. Second video, which is making a home fire escape plan, and that's suitable for all audiences. And you can just play these right off of our website. And if you want them downloaded, just let me know and I'll have them downloaded for you. It's not difficult to do that. It's just a little bit time consuming. So if you want them, let me know. And then Recipe for Safety, which is really targeted at consumers. So if you're looking for something for a consumer audience, that can help you. So back we go to firepreventionweek.org. And the third tab, which is the toolkit, my favorite tab. It's just full of stuff that can help you, everything you want and need to build your Fire Prevention Week programs and activities, including tons of resources for virtual or distanced events and Fire Prevention Week campaigns. So before we talk about this, thank you for your comments in the chat about specific audiences. And can we have Chris, technical support, just let me know, because I can't see it very well, if there was conversation about those specific audiences.
Yeah, most of what everybody was saying was pretty similar, that the primary audience there is children, school kids, and the way that they would reach them would be through open houses or something along those lines, but that might be a bit more difficult now because of COVID. So by reaching out on Facebook, you could try to tackle two audiences at once by having things both for children and an older audience who would more primarily use Facebook.
Okay, good point. Yeah, good. Okay, thanks you guys for participating in that. Appreciate it. It's hard to multitask. All right. Okay, so the toolkit. Many of you will be familiar with the toolkit because we've had it for a couple of years. I think this is the third year we've had it now, and we're expanding and elaborating. So you can see the red boxes. You can click on those and download the resources. And most of the resources are in English, pardon me, English and French. And a new item that we're excited about is the out of the box ideas, which you'll see on the top left. And we'll talk about those more shortly. And as you guys are saying, you may not have open houses, you may not be into the schools to the same degree that you usually have. So what can you do to reach that audience? So we'll get there in a few minutes. So also in the toolkit, you'll find the talking points about cooking safety. So this is great if you are prepping for interviews or any Zoom sessions or webinars you might do, to make sure that we're all providing consistent messaging. So I've showed you a bunch of stuff, and I showed you that page that had those 4 key messages. So this elaborates on them. It's just a Word document, so you can print it out, you can put it in big print, and if you're doing an interview, or if you're standing in front of a room, or if you have a Zoom call, you can have that information highlighted just to refresh your memory and keep you on track. There is also a fundraising letter if you're looking for support, for your Fire Prevention Week activities. There's a press release in English and French that your department can customize, send to your local paper, your local radio stations. I know that Vince, for example, you do tons of media. So this is just a way to open that door to get people interested and talk about Fire Prevention Week. And you'll also see proclamations. So in Canada, we have a national proclamation from Parliament that should be available any minute now as well. And that is really nice. It's kind of formal, and it just lets people in your community know that Fire Prevention Week is recognized by Canadians from coast to coast, actually. And then on the bottom right, it says event flyer. And this used to be the open house flyer, but we've changed it to a safety event flyer. So you can promote, sorry about that, you can promote a virtual event. So when you download the flyer, you can fill in your department and the date and the time and the location of the event. So I'm in Oakville. So if you look on the left there, I used Oakville as an example, promoting a Zoom session for parents and children. You could do a virtual town hall, or a Zoom drop-in to an older adult home, or even a call-in with the library, that kind of thing. So there's lots of options, and there's lots of ways to get the word out, still focusing on the theme. And again, we're providing you with those resources so you don't have to create them yourselves. They're all here. Just go to the website, click around, and you'll find even more stuff that I'm talking to you about this evening. You can email that flyer out, you could post it on social, you could even print it and post it on bulletin boards at the grocery store. Lots of options there. So when you download the flyer, I've said that, sorry. So also on the toolkit page, you can scroll down. So the toolkit page is really long. I know you can only see this much of it on your laptop, but when you scroll down, it keeps going and going and going and going. So you'll see a ton of social media cards that are optimized for Facebook, Twitter, and yay, this year, Instagram, and in English and in French. So when you scroll, what's on the slide here is what you see, and then when you click download, it gives you the option, of course, Spanish in the US, and then you download them and they're ready to go. And I know some of you have been using them already. So I'm going to show you, there are 8 cards with 8 messages. And I also know that some volunteer fire departments, you may not have a social media account, you may not be able to use them, but you can also put them out in your own accounts and promote within your own community to your own followers and friends and family and that kind of thing. So the first one, the theme, serve up fire safety in the kitchen, includes the message that cooking is the #1 cause of fires and home fire injuries. And then there are 6 other target 6 others that target specific audiences and age groups. So this is what they look like. And actually we changed this one today, and it now says move anything that can burn away from the stovetop. I think that the 1 meter was causing a problem because many people don't have an extra meter in their kitchen to keep clear of combustible items. So if you have your oven mitts, you know, a foot away or 2 feet away rather than 3 feet away. Anyway, that's new on the website as we speak. Clubbing and cooking don't mix after a night out, order in, which I quite like, targeted very specifically at a certain demographic and age group, right? So that is suitable for Instagram and tends to work well the way that they've put the visual and made the text very clear. You could share that one in particular with local universities or colleges and encourage them to post on social and then tag you and your department, and then you post it and you tag them. And that just extends the reach in your community for the fire safety messaging. And we know that they're hard to reach that age group. So all the social media cards direct your audiences back to firepreventionweek.org so they can go there and explore around. So that's the 3 foot one, the 1 meter one in French. And then the others are here. Put a lid on it like we talked about earlier. Be smart, so that's in French, but be smart. Use your smartphone and use a timer, so you can use Siri or you can use Alexa. Focus on the food. So we heard earlier about people falling asleep, so we want to make sure that people are paying attention, and you can use all those cliches, stand by your pan, that kind of thing. And then there's Bill. So we want everyone to be smart like Bill and learn how to be careful in the kitchen. It's a little bit of a departure for NFPA. That was a little risque for us, but I talked them into it, and I think it works quite well. Lots of people are using it already, which is kind of cool. Okay. So besides the social media cards, we've created other social media messaging that you can use on all the platforms. So if you want to be specific about what's going on in your own community, you can use our templates. It's just a Word document, and we provide some data for you, and the data works for Canadians. It's not American data, it's North American data, and then you can customize it and have people come back to your link, your department, your website. So on the toolkit page, if you scroll down past the social media cards that we just saw, you'll find a button that says download sample social media posts, and that's what it is. So it would be, you'll see there that we've used the hashtag Fire Prevention Week, and we do that so that we can track all of the social media that is out there and that appears on our homepage at firepreventionweek.org. So those are just some examples of what they look like when they're on our page. So we appreciate you using that. And then if you use other hashtags like fire safety, fire prevention, cooking safely, cooking safety, safe kids, that kind of thing, you will again extend and expand your reach beyond just people who are already following those kinds of things. Tag your mayor, tag your municipality, tag your province. It's endless. So the logos and the use, lots and lots of options here. So we've got them for web, we got them for print, we've got them for social in all the right sizes. The only caveat, of course, is that if you're going to use it, it has to be used exactly as it is here with no alterations. If you want a larger file, if you want to put it on your Fire Prevention Week truck or your fire prevention truck or those kinds of things, we need to grant you permission. So just send me an email and let me know, or if you click on terms of use on our page, which is here, as you scroll down, it'll give you a form to fill out, and then we can grant you permission, hopefully. So we prefer, obviously, if you use it in its entirety in its own way, and then if you want to do anything that's a little different than what's there, let me know and we'll walk you through it. Okay, so still on that page, still on that toolkit page, if you scroll down past all the social media stuff, you'll see teach fire safety. And this is what teaching fire safety used to look like, right? So this is actually an open house in a fire hall, not during Fire Prevention Week, but it was done before Fire Prevention Week because it's in cottage country in Cape Breton, as you can see. And we may not be able to do that this time. So what do we need to do? We need to learn to love our laptops and embrace this new kind of fire prevention teaching and safety. So this kind of thing. We need to be smart about teaching fire safety. So how will you do it? So you'll need to choose your audiences, your message, and your platforms, such as Google Classroom, which easy to learn, time consuming for sure, but a ton of fun. And we've got a group of fire and life safety educators on Facebook who've become kind of obsessed with all of this. And it's really cute because they're all sharing their Bitmojis of each other and using them to populate the Google Classroom. I know, again, if you're in a volunteer department, this is probably not what you're going to be doing, but we have some teachers who had signed up for tonight and some career fire and life safety educators, fire prevention officers. So this might be an option for you, and there's lots of teaching and training through NFPA and through our connections to other fire and life safety groups. There's something called Flipgrid, again, for teachers and educators, a fantastic tool. I'm not going to go into these. I just want to show you that they exist. Canva, which I'm using, it's fantastic to create and design your social media posts. And Later, which helps you with Instagram. And because we have the Instagram posts now, just thought it would be something to at least let you know exists and is out there. So if anybody wants more information about those things or wants to learn how to use them, let me know. Come back to me and we can connect you with some people who are really skilled in this regard. Okay, so who then is your target audience? You can find resources at Fire Prevention Week firepreventionweek.org for every target audience. So kids, adolescents, families, older adults, and special populations such as people for whom English is a second language or people who are deaf or hard of hearing. So it's not just the regular target audiences. We do have resources for absolutely everybody, and it's all listed on we put everything on the Fire Prevention Week page, so you don't have to go looking around for it. Okay, so I moved some stuff around in here. I wanted to show you, particularly for the teachers who might be on, that we have a new flat Sparky, and this was very exciting and a big launch a couple of weeks ago. This is on firepreventionweek.org under Toolkit. And what can you do with this? People are using this. They color and cut out flat Sparky, take pictures with him, have the kids take pictures, do coloring contests, photo contests, and he's showing up all over the place. So very cute idea, and it's just a new design this year. So I wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. And then back to the toolkit, where there are tons of resources for teachers, daycare providers, families, for Tom, who's going across Newfoundland doing Learn Not to Burn, just about anything you can think of. And then the resources for our older adult population, cooking safety and tip sheets, and also specifically for teens, those who are preparing food for themselves and others in the home, who are looking after themselves and others in the home, and a lot of teens who might be at home after school using the microwave, very specific microwave safety, pardon me, very specific microwave safety tip sheet. And I'm seeing Tony here saying New Canadians as an audience, very true. And we have tons and tons of resources in multiple languages under the tip sheet page. And you just have to go sort of prowl around and explore. There are so many languages. I didn't want to list them here because it looks really boring, but there's lots and lots there, okay? So because we're all at home, and we're certainly more at home even here in the central part of the province than you guys, central part of the country than you guys have been in Newfoundland, it's a great time to highlight cooking safety practices for caregivers, including babysitters. So this is a great tip sheet to provide for parents or babysitters, along with the Cooking with Kids activity sheet for easy, fun, and safe recipes for kids. And then why not connect with babysitter training groups to do special cooking and escape planning section during the class, even if the classes are online or offered through online or group sessions. There's also a lesson plan for young teens. I really like this one. It's on our public education page under lesson plans. I can get you the link, and it's a great time to provide parents and caregivers with the tools to teach kids about safe cooking, given that so many are home and may still be, right? So lots of resources. We know that coloring, this is one of my favorites, coloring is a great developmental activity for kids, and now more and more studies show the calming effect of coloring for adults, and that's probably something that some of us could use. You can download these for free, of course. The kids version is available in English and French, and there's a spot on the adult one at the bottom where you can add your department logo. So you can share these on social media, use Facebook to reach all those audiences we talked about earlier, email the kids coloring sheet to daycare providers, preschools, elementary schools, email the adult version. Churches, great idea. You can put it out in the bulletin. You can put it online at the church website, those kinds of things, and seniors' homes and community centers. So a nice option that we had a little bit of fun with this year, and again, available in English and French too. Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to show you a couple of other things about teaching fire safety. The two hot or not activities that you see here, that you're going to see, are directly from Learn Not to Burn, which I know so many of you are familiar with because the association does such a great job promoting Learn Not to Burn across the province. These are great for readers and non-readers, so they can begin to identify things that burn or scald. So it's a sorting exercise. One is for non-readers, the one on the left. The one on the right is for readers. It's a little more in depth. So this would be great to do over Zoom with a group of families through a library program, or do it virtually. So how would you do it virtually? This is the question I asked. And it turns out there are all kinds of ways to do this. Through Google Slides, for example, you can make it a drag and drop activity, and we have it. We've got people who've created this for us and who are willing to share it. So if this is something that interests you, let me know. And again, I will connect you with these people, okay? So this is what it looks like. And then if you go to Google Slides, there's Bree Dugan, who is a fire and life safety educator in the States, and we've been working closely with her, and it's really cool. So if you're a teacher and you're listening, we have wonderful folks who we can put you in touch with who can help you start on this or provide the resources to you. Okay, and that is Bree's website, where you can go to find all of her resources and the wonderful things that she's been able to produce. She's young and keen and technical and a teacher, and she gets it. Okay, all right. I will send the URL to all of you. Okay. Okay, so this is just an example of what this hot or not hot exercise looks like, where you would drag and drop online and using Google Slides. Okay. All right, so tip sheets, which everyone is familiar with, and this is where you can find them. Again, if you keep scrolling down under the toolkit, you will get to tip sheets, and lots of them, multiple languages, and ones that are easy to read and not full of the text like these ones are. But here are some particular ones that lend themselves to the 2020 Fire Prevention Week messaging about cooking safety. Okay, so just a couple of them that are you may find useful and easy to share with your particular audiences. Just again, for teachers and for those of you who may not know, we have two other websites besides fpw.org. Sparky.org, which has so many activities for kids, and I wanted to show you one of our newest. This is Annie Makes a Plan. It's a reader that we've created, just got up there a couple of weeks ago actually, and talks about making a home fire escape plan. So you can use that in a classroom, you can use it in a school, you could do it online, you could share it online, you could have yourself reading it or video somebody else reading it. So that's a wonderful little tool. And then our digital backpack on Sparky Schoolhouse has so many resources. Meant for teachers, absolutely, but there's resources there that you guys can pull out and use anytime. The story time video, which you're just seeing the top of there, the story of Sparky the fire dog, which is a great story and video. And now that we have Sparkies available through CanOps and the Fire Hall bookstore, you can bring Sparky along with you. Okay, so back to the toolkit and some of those out-of-the-box ideas. Okay, we're going to go through this and then we're going to open it up for chat. Okay, so just a few things that are on the website under the out-of-the-box ideas: creating partnerships with anybody in your community. So partnerships are the foundation of community risk reduction, and they're a fantastic way to spread safety information further into your community. Think about the organizations around you and how everyone has had to adapt and figure out ways to do things differently the last several months. So lots of businesses and organizations would be happy to endorse or support Fire Prevention Week as part of a community-wide effort to increase fire prevention and fire safety. Everyone's on board with fire safety, so seize that opportunity. So here are some of the things you might want to do or try to do. So get it delivered. partner with local restaurants and food service delivery outlets to include fire safety messaging with their deliveries. So several departments in Canada and also the US have been doing this for several months in partnership with local restaurants. So they put some of the information, some stuff from their kit in the delivery packages, and they show up with the delivery people. It's awesome, it works, and we're getting great feedback. You could become a YouTube star, do your videos. Sorry, it's not up there, but it's just another idea. Make short, catchy videos that include cooking safety messages and reach out on social media for feedback. Think of something like the Fire Prevention Week kickoff video that we showed you earlier. Get everybody involved. Everybody has a smartphone, and the younger people in your department can do this in the blink of an eye. So good idea. Get colorful. We've talked about coloring and coloring contests. And the virtual truck tour, of course, we know everyone loves to see the trucks, and this is bound to get your firefighters excited. So get them involved. Find your in-house Oscar-worthy performer, write a script, and away you go. Just be sure that you also include some safety messaging. So you can see a couple of other examples on the slide of Canadian departments that did a drive-through blitz, and another idea was chalk it up to fire safety. This contest was really successful in Georgina, which is just outside Toronto here. We've actually have a webinar tomorrow with a bunch of Ontario departments that have done these types of things. And yeah, it does take a little more work than your usual open house, but they're finding ways to get the messages out. Here's another one that was presented to us by our Fire and Life Safety Educator of the Year, Maria Bostian from North Carolina. She has indeed created partnerships all over her town and has everybody in town using their marquees and their signs to promote Fire Prevention Week. So it's all over the place and people can't miss it. And again, a little bit more work, but a great idea. And then you can have them all sort of competing with each other to see who can do the most creative design. And then we're back to Fire Prevention Week products for Canadian fire departments, and where do you get them if you haven't got them already? So I just want to show you there are two places in Canada, the Fire Hall Bookstore, of course, firehallbookstore.com, and also CanOps, which is the business arm of the Canadian Council of Fire Marshals and Fire Commissioners, and that is now CanOps Store. Sorry, I left off the .org. It's canopsstore.org, and it's formerly fpwcanada.ca. So CanOps had their 15% off sale starting today, so you can still get your stuff. And if you've recently bought from CanOps, go back to them and tell them you want your 15% off. I know they'll honor it. So you can have a look and see what's there. And here's what's available. So a couple things. These are what the posters look like. I'll just show you. Sorry, I missed that. The poster available in English and French comes as part of the kit. The kit also contains the kids' activity book, stickers, magnets, and a swag bag, and you can order all of these items separately as well. So that kids' activity book is aimed at kids in kindergarten to grade 3, and it was created by our education team and is completely curriculum appropriate. These are the stickers. I have one on the other side of my laptop, of course, because if you've seen my laptop, you know I've been sticking them there for years. So that's stickers and tattoos, actually, through CanOps. So that's cool. And this is what the magnets look like. And I just wanted to show you because they have the safety messages on them this year, and there are no dates, right? So they don't go stale. So those are kind of cool. And they've made them just a little bit thinner, so they're not as heavy for shipping or for carrying around when you're doing that. So out of the box ideas, we're back here. Or we are in a minute, we're back here. And I just wanted to show you a couple more. So several departments jumped on that chalk one up for fire safety idea and had contests in their communities and then promoted them all over social media, which was great, even here in Oakville. And Georgina, which again is just outside of Toronto, did a virtual smoke alarm visit. So they just did it through Zoom and had people who were in need of that kind of advice phone them up. And again, it worked, but they have some full-time staff. Russell, which is outside of Ottawa, they did a Taking It to the Streets campaign over the summer. weather's still good, it's fine to do that. And they got incredible response with this. They just took their information, their truck, and they distanced, they wore masks, and people went nuts because there was nothing else to do in a small town over the summer when there was no baseball and soccer. So you just need to be creative. And then Burlington Fire, just next door to me here in Oakville, did a "What's Your Burning Question" segment on Twitter, and it went over really well. And they had their fire prevention officers do the answers, and while they were all skeptical at first, they became social media stars. So lots and lots of suggestions and ideas. Before we switch it back to the chat and open up your cameras and your microphones, I just wanted to let you know that in a couple of weeks, we'll be announcing the date for our Spotlight on Public Education sessions, which we generally have at our conference and expo. Tony's been there, Justin's been there, and it's always been fantastic. But of course, it didn't happen live this year, so we're going virtual. We just need to know when the date is, and that will be announced soon.